Hello and welcome to another video. Today, as you might have seen already in the title, description, or even the picture, we were like this close to a very bad engine failure. The issue was quite interesting because I never heard of that problem before. So I think it's the first time I heard about it. The issue is also not occurring it was a very recent issue. The issue actually was, let me just show you. You might already have seen it in the Insta post. I'm missing actually 6 of those. They are oil squirters for the pistons. So the Yaris has 3 of those per cylinder or per piston. And I was missing 6, which isn't a very good thing. So that was also the reason in the last video at Arnaud Durin. If you check the onboard and you see on the long straight, the 100 to 200, the car felt very slow that day. And I just thought, yeah, it's most likely because of hot weather, and the ECU is cutting ignition or getting ignition timing back. That was actually the issue, but the issue was because it nearly started knocking all the time because the pistons got so hot. So it pulled ignition, and that's why we didn't have any power at all. And it also felt very slow. Always on the first lap, it was quite quick on the straight, and then it started to pull timing and was getting slower all the time, and it got worse over the day. And the last event at the Lausitzring and also at Oschersleben, the car just felt slow. I thought maybe I got used to the power, or I don't know, but it just felt slow. And when we checked the data logs now, we could see it pulled timing quite a lot, so we didn't even had the full 400 horsepower. The full 400 horsepower from the lowest map. So yeah, that was one of the issues. And then I thought, yeah, let's check the engine. We pulled out the spark plugs, these right here, but they did look decent enough. And because we decided to remove the oil pan to scan everything to make the bigger oil pan, you'll see some pictures. So that was the issue. We lost 6 of those. The car got too hot and it pulled ignition, and that's why we didn't have any power, and that's why the car felt so slow. Now, why did that happen? The interesting thing is we built the engine. We actually turned everything around in dry, while it was still not a complete engine, to check all the clearances, and we thought it's good. Apparently we were wrong. We put in the Italian rods and pistons, so the rods and pistons from Italian Rods and Pistons, IRP for short. And we thought everything's fine, and we put everything together. We were on the dyno to run the engine in, and then we we also were on the dyno to tune the car. Obviously. Then we had 2 events, 2 just test events, and after that I took down the oil pan to install the baffle plates. That was actually a year ago or so. We did that, and that's actually that. At this time, everything was fine. We didn't have any issues. There was no oil squirters lying in the oil pan. So up to that moment, everything was fine. So we didn't thought anything with it. And just the last 2 events, the car felt slow. And then we pulled everything apart, found these. These are the remaining parts. Let me pull one out. These are the remaining parts. Here you can see where it broke off. The thing is, it the piston at the inside, that's just a stock piston, but the IRP pistons, they have a plate in here for stiffening purposes. And yeah, let me show you the other video we made. The oil squirters, they are just in here like this, and they touched in here just a tiny bit. Let me show you a picture of the... We put them in, and then I thought, yeah, let's turn around the engine 2 or 3 times, and we just put 2 in and at the middle cylinder, because that's the one you reach the easiest from below. And then we put them in, turned around the engine, didn't see anything, and then we pulled them back out, and then you could see just tiny spots where this H-brace or whatever that is from the piston touches the squirter. It's not much, it's just a teeny tiny bit, and after the first turn there's enough clearance, so it doesn't hit anymore, it just taps all the time. And while you're racing the car at 7,000 RPM, it touches quite a few times. And so over time, the oil squirters got damaged and broke off. And that's when the issues occurred with pulling timing and everything. I think this could also lead to very bad engine failure when the engine doesn't, or when the ECU doesn't pull timing, and when the warning lights doesn't come off because oil gets too hot and stuff, or when you ignore that, that might lead to some damaged engines. So if you have IRP pistons and you didn't bend the oil squirters, you might want to pull off the oil pan and check. I already talked to IRP. They most likely gonna change the piston. Just it's basically nothing, but they will change the design most likely. But if you have them now, we just bent the squirters just like 5 millimeters or so. It was way too much, but maybe 1 millimeter even is enough, or 1 millimeter is enough, because it's just the tiniest of hits. So yeah, let me show you one that's intact. That's one we didn't pull out, because there's 2 on one side and 1 on the other side, and the one on the other side, they look like this. They're perfectly fine. The other ones aren't. I pulled them out obviously as well, but they're perfectly fine. There's also more than enough clearance, and it just touched a teeny tiny little bit up here, and over time obviously that got enough to break it off, and then it fell down in the oil pan and stayed there until I discovered them. That's also one of the reasons why we were so slow at the last event, and at basically the last test day as well. I just thought it's because it's so hot, and the pull timing, and it did pull timing because it was too hot, but I didn't expect it to be this. So that's basically it. We got very lucky that we discovered that early enough, and that they didn't go missing anywhere in the engine. They just fell down into the oil pan and stayed there until I discovered them. And yeah, that was quite lucky. And it was a major fuck up on our side when we built the engine. Yeah. So if you have IRP pistons in, you might want to check. If your tuner didn't recognize that and bent them already, you might want to check. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. And other than that, thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a good week. Goodbye.